All right, Honors Bio, this is going to be Unit 4, Photosynthesis, and it's going to be Video 5, Calvin Cycle. Quick review of our last set of reactions, the light-dependent reactions. And we have most likely done this in class, maybe before you've gotten to this. You guys sketched out a chloroplast. If you haven't done it yet, you're going to do it in a minute. Where you guys had to label the stroma, the thylakoid membrane, photosystems 1 and 2, electron transport chain, where's light coming in, what's happening to water, ATP synthase, your hydrogen ions, it's positively charged because it's lost an electron, ATP, ADP, NADP+, and NADPH. So if you have not done that yet, just keep your ears open because you're going to be doing that in just a minute. If you have already, then make sure you've done all these parts. Quick review. Remember, guys, light-dependent reactions. We've done this part so far. Okay, this is what we've done so far. We come in with light and water, and we also come in with NADP+ and ADP and an extra phosphate. So these right here, you guys, these are really the reactants or the raw materials that are used in the light-dependent reactions. Okay, so we bring this material in. Light helps us to break our our water into hydrogens and oxygens. And then we use the energy provided through our photosystems and our electron transport chains to use that hydrogen. We add 1 to the NADP+ to make NADPH. So these are the products, you guys, of light-dependent reactions. We also use some of the energy in one of our carrier proteins to add that phosphate to ADP, make an ATP, and then we put out oxygen. Now we're going to talk about the Calvin cycle, my friends, the light-independent reactions. Okay, first thing is, it's located in the stroma. So this is sort of the empty space. Think of it like the cytoplasm of the chloroplast, okay? It's not the green part. First thing is CO2 enters from the environment. Okay. Next, the CO2 combines with a 5-carbon molecule that we call RuBP. And that's going to form 2 3-carbon molecules. Okay, so I had a 5-carbon molecule, I added another carbon, now I've got 6 carbons. And then I'm going to break those 6 carbons down into 2 3-carbon molecules. And that's called PGA. Don't worry, right now, you guys, you don't need to know what these stand for. Know that we combined 1 carbon here with 5 carbons to get 6 total carbons. And then we're going to break those down into 2 3-carbons that are called PGA. Okay. It's called carbon fixation. If you are in earth science or you've heard about it at all, you may have talked about how do we take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and fixate it into something that living organisms can use. Okay, third step, your ATP and NADPH. These were provided and produced by the light-dependent reactions. Those are going to give us the energy we need to rearrange those 3-carbon molecules into what we need. So we might arrange those into glucose, we might arrange them into something else, but for right now we're going to call them PGAL. Okay. So remember with these 3-carbon molecules here, we're going to use the energy here to arrange those into what our body needs. Okay. Not what our body needs, I mean what the plant wants to create. Okay, the ATP, we break off that extra phosphate. Remember, that's where all the energy is. That gets converted to ADP, and then it's going to go back to light-dependent and get used again. NADPH, we break off that hydrogen. It gets used, the break in that chemical bond, that energy gets used. Then we're going to send NADP+ back to the light-dependent reactions. Okay, next, the higher energy 3-carbon molecules that we created, they have 2 different options. First thing is they can leave the Calvin cycle to go make sugars, lipids, or amino acids, so that autotrophs, plants, can grow. Okay, so that's one of their very first options. We can use them as building blocks so that a plant can grow. Or they can get converted back to that 5-carbon molecule with ATP and go through the cycle again. So if they're not going to be used for growth or repair, they might get converted back into a 5-carbon molecule. Going through the cycle again, like if we need to use the energy that's in them for something else. All right, so you use 6, remember our formula said 6 CO2. You use 6 CO2 molecules to make 1 glucose molecule. Remember our photosynthesis equation, 6 CO2 is one of our reactants, and then we make C6H12O6 to make 1 glucose molecule. All right. More than one carbon dioxide can enter at a time. I'll show you guys a clip here in just a second. We can use more than one of them at a time if we need to. If we didn't use more than one at a time, it would take us way too long. I mean, not us, plants. It would take plants way too long to make the glucose that they need. All right, so here's our Calvin cycle. ATP comes in, we use the energy from it, goes back. This is going back to the light-dependent reactions, okay? So we're gonna start with my Ruby P, that's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm gonna add my carbon, remember? Then from there, it's gonna go to PGA, which is my 2, 3 carbon molecules. I'm gonna use 2 ATPs here. I'm gonna use that energy. ADP is gonna go back to the light-dependent reactions. So because this is really showing the energy that's making the cycle go around. Next, I'm going to use my energy for my NADPH. I'm going to lose that hydrogen. NADP plus is going to go back to the light dependent. My 2 phosphates for my ATP. I usually think of these phosphates and this all in the same area. Now I've got 2 molecules of PGAL. And then from there, my plant's going to decide how to use it. Either I'm going to make glucose for growth, or it's going to go back to this cycle and be used again as Ruby P. Okay, quick review. Again, just like light dependent, I want you guys to focus on this. This is what I really need you to come out of the Calvin cycle with. It's located in the stroma. It uses carbon dioxide. We use the energy in ATP, break that phosphate off, and we turn back to ADP. Using that hydrogen ion in NADPH, transfers back to NADP+. And you can see right here that energy was transferred for cellular work. We talked about uses for ATP. That's one of the things that we do to fuel active transport. Okay, and all of these things fall into the process of active transport. Quick little photosynthesis overview. Start with light dependent. Sunlight and water comes in, oxygen goes out. Also NADPH and ATP comes out. Light dependent is an energy processing reaction. Then we have light independent. CO2 comes in, and the NADPH and ATP come in. Then out go sugars, and ADP and NADP plus go back to the light dependent reactions, okay? So light dependent is like an energy processing reaction. Light independent is an energy storage type of reaction. Just another picture to show you guys photosynthesis. And that is it for video 5, Calvin cycle or light independent reactions.